live. Yeah, we going live. Hey, we going live. Yeah, we going live. Yeah, we going. Yeah, we going. Yeah, we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line. Hey.
All right, so now let's get on to our topics.
Yes.
This first one. So anybody who's ever watched or listened to us knows that Jarrett and I have very, very different opinions.
Yes.
About the SEC, the college football conference, the SEC. Yes, because I don't mean Securities and Exchange. I mean SEC.
Yeah, right. The Southeastern Conference.
Southeastern Conference. And so what we have witnessed over the last couple of weeks with the bowl games that have been taking place is a little disheartening when it comes to the SEC's dominance. So background, I feel like SEC is a place where grown men go to play. And, there is a level of talent or skill that is different than most conferences. Not saying that other conferences don't have talented and skilled players. I'm saying that I feel like the SEC just seems to pull the best, a lot of the best players in the country into their programs. That's all I'm saying. And so, but we've seen, Jared, you probably got the actual facts here. About 5 SEC teams go down.
The SEC is one, and they were before yesterday. Before South Carolina won yesterday, the SEC was 0 for 4.
So they're 1-5. Okay, 1 and 4.
So they're 1-5 now.
1-4 or 1-5?
1-5. Purdue lost to Tennessee.
That's
Purdue beat Tennessee last night.
That's right. So they're 1-5. So 5 SEC teams have gone down in bowl. And so the question is, what happens to them during the bowl season? What happens?
Yeah.
And this is why we had to stop talking, y'all. This conversation.
Yeah, because we almost went deep into this one.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask, like, what do you think the reason is? Like, what do you think because you almost got into it, but we were like, let's save this for the show so that you can make your point to why you feel like this occurs each year. So not each year, I won't say that, but
but it does happen a lot because a lot of SEC teams end up in the playoffs. In the bowl games. So I really feel like the SEC has less parity than the college football landscape itself has parity. And I say that because pretty much you're going to have the same teams that dominate. Sometimes you'll get a little flip here and there, but for the most part, you're going to see the same 3 or 4 teams that always dominate in the SEC. You're going to see Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and why can't I think of who I'm thinking about? It's Alabama, Texas, Georgia, Florida,
Auburn, Texas A&M.
Auburn,
okay.
You'll see it's flipped script like it's always over the last probably 3 decades. That's how it's kind of played out, right? Yeah. And so I feel
LSU.
like
LSU.
Yep, that's who it was.
That's who it was. Yeah.
LSU. So I feel like because of that, we see when other teams who are not those teams make it to these bowl games that you get more parity. They're not pulling. So those top teams are always going to be the ones pulling those best players for the SEC.
Right.
But when you get those people who are, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Arkansas, you start talking about those kind of murky water SEC teams, then you're starting to get that have that issue of they're not as dominant.
Yeah.
They don't have the ability or the talent to dominate the way that those top teams might. And so I feel like that's why we see the SEC, when it comes to the bowl games, kind of fall off, so to speak. You know what I mean? But we'll see today.
Yeah, we got two SEC teams who get the opportunity to fix this record.
Yeah, we'll see today.
My thing with the SEC, and probably your statement that it's a grown man league, is that in saying that, like you say that, and it's supposed to encompass the entire league, right? And so my only dispute with that was always that the SEC is just really top heavy. And so, like, even in mentioning those teams, outside of Auburn and LSU, what other team? Oh, well, Florida. Like Florida, those are the only teams that have won national championships over the last however many years. And so the league is top heavy, and we're starting to see over the years more and more parity, not necessarily at the top, because Alabama has just kind of,
dominate.
You know what I'm saying, dominated.
Yeah.
And I feel like wherever Nick Saban goes, he's going to like get that. And he just so happened to land in the SEC.
I'm gonna say he's been at LSU and Florida, so right. Did he go? Was he in Florida? I know he was at LSU, wasn't he?
No. He was at LSU, and I think before that he was at Michigan State.
Michigan. Okay. Yeah. Oh no, I thought he was at Florida. No, okay.
Well, no, but he was at LSU. Then he went to the NFL. He was at
that's what it was.
The Miami Dolphins.
Yeah. Okay.
Then he came back to Alabama.
That's what it was.
Before LSU,
he was in Florida, but not in college. That's
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and this is with fairness to my critique of the SEC in total, right? Because when you see stuff like Notre Dame, who I believe they were in that first playoff national championship game, and Alabama just blew the doors off of them, you know, like we saw back then, like, okay, they're just on a different level, Alabama is.
Right.
And so I don't feel like that necessarily speaks for the entirety of the league.
Okay.
And back then I felt like that, but now even more. Now, this is with respect to the point that I'm trying to make. Now, last year, the SEC's bowl record was 7-2. So
that was
2020,
respectable.
That's really good.
Yeah, that's pretty respectable.
The year before that, it was 8-2.
So could COVID have something to do with
it? Nah. So
he said, I'm not giving them
no. So the reason why I say no though is because when you go back before that, right? And last year was the COVID season, so 7-2 would have, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, if we were saying that it was because of that, then it could have possibly reflected in their record last year. But they're 1-5 right now. 2018 they were 6-6. 2017 they were 5-6. 2016 they were 6-7. And so, like, the only point that I'm making is, as a league, we look at the top part of this league and say, oh, they're far and away better than the other leagues. But there's less parity in the league, and historically there's been less parity in the league.
Yes.
Because, like, you put Vanderbilt up against the worst team in any other league, and I think the worst team in any other league comes out with a win.
With a victory.
You know what I'm saying? And even the middle of the road teams.
Go pick Vanderbilt of all the SEC teams. Like, yes.
Bro, yeah. No, so, like, even if we put Vanderbilt against, what's the worst team in the Big Ten? Maryland? No. It's not Maryland, because Maryland actually went to a bowl game.
I was gonna say, didn't they go to a bowl game? I have no idea.
They beat the stuffing out of Virginia Tech the other day, 54-10, I think. So no, not Maryland. Maybe what's one of those teams in that league that Indiana maybe wasn't that great this year. Which is surprising because they were really good last year.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I don't think they made it to a bowl
game. Okay.
Yeah.
So you think Indiana was still, well, I feel that way. It's Vanderbilt. Lord, y'all forgive me, but yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
But even if we took like, you know, we still got to take those other teams like Missouri, who ended up getting into the league, you know.
We can't talk about that because I still don't agree with any of that.
Oh, any of those, the expansion teams? Well, Texas A&M is a good look. You know what I'm saying? For the SEC, Texas A&M is a good look. I think that it takes away from another league and brings to, I guess, the point of the dominance of the SEC teams. Now, like Texas A&M, and I believe, is it Oklahoma State? Oh, no, Oklahoma. That's coming over.
Yeah.
Like, that only beefs up the idea that this is the best league and they're just far and away above everybody else.
Well,
but I think right now, like, you know, it's hard to say that. Now, right now, we look at Alabama's probably being the best team, right? And even with you saying that this team doesn't look like Alabama or the Alabama of the years past, Georgia's the only team that, I mean, Georgia, their only losses against that team.
Correct.
Right? And Alabama's only losses against Texas A&M. So for the two heavyweights of that league, they only lost in conference. They didn't lose any out of the conference teams, like, to your point. But I think when it comes down to these bowl games, and I think one of the things, or one of the arguments that I thought you were going to make is that these are just glorified exhibition games, and so not all of the teams are sold out for them, you know.
No,
because what we've been seeing is, like, even with Michigan State beating Pitt last night, you know, Michigan State Pitt didn't have their starting quarterback. Actually, I think they were down to their third string. And Michigan State didn't have Kenneth Walker and some other players who kind of made the decision like, yeah, I'm not going to play.
Right.
And so what we're seeing is, like, they're not putting the same effort into these bowl games as they are during the season.
Okay. Makes sense.
But even still, when you look at the SEC's win-loss record against other conferences during the season, it's only Alabama and Georgia who are carrying the league as far as, like, out of conference games. So
okay. Well, I don't know, y'all. It's just weird to me that they keep, I don't know. Yeah.
Well,
but okay.
With NIL, you're going to start to see a lot more parity. Like,
of course,
Alabama won't be able to get the top recruits. And I mean, I know they had the #1 recruiting class this year, but they won't be, or did they?
No, it wasn't them, was it?
It wasn't Alabama this year.
I thought it was Georgia, but okay.
Oh, no, you might be right. It might be Georgia. And so they won't be able to get it'll be spread out a lot more, and players will go where they really want to go and not say to themselves, well, let me go join Alabama because I know it's a high percentage that I'm going to win the national championship.
Right. Or I'll get to the league. Like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I understand. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens today.
Me too. I really am. Sure. I am rooting for both non-SEC teams.
Of course you are. Of course you are.
Man.
Of course you are. That's no surprise. All good. So let's keep it moving.
Okay.
So they announced on Tuesday, I believe, the class of 2022 NFL Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Hall of Fame class of 2022. Sorry. And so how do you feel about it?
So let me run through the list first.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just say, based off of these names, like, how I feel about the finalists as a whole, because I know not all of them will end up making it into the class, but we'll start with Jarrett Allen, Willie Anderson,
okay,
offensive lineman, Rondé Barber,
okay,
Tony Baselli,
okay,
Leroy Butler, Devin Hester, Torrey Hope, Andre Johnson, Sam Mills. Have no idea why he's not in. Richard Seymour, Zach Thomas, DeMarcus Ware, Reggie Wayne, Patrick Willis, Bryant Young.
Yep.
There's not a person on this list that I feel like shouldn't be in there.
Okay.
Now, I think what would be fun for us to do, if we could only pick 5 of these names,
yeah,
who would they be for you?
Oh, that's cruel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let me think. Okay. I'm gonna pick Jarrett Allen.
Okay.
Rondo Barber.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's hard. Richard Seymour.
Okay.
That's 3, right?
That's
I got 2
4.
more.
You said
Yeah.
Jarrett Allen, Rondo Barber, Richard Seymour.
Richard Seymour. That's 3.
Oh, that's 3. I'm sorry.
3. Reggie Wayne.
4.
Who else? I'm gonna go with Sam Mills.
Sam, okay.
Those
I like that list.
Those would be my 5.
I like that
because
list.
I feel like Devin Hester and who else is it? Devin Hester. There's 3 who this is their first ballot.
Yeah.
So y'all can be okay.
Right. I think this is first ballot for Devin Hester, Andre Johnson.
Yeah. It's one other person.
And DeMarcus Ware.
Yeah, DeMarcus Ware. Yeah. Like no.
Yeah.
No. I feel like, yeah, those other people have earned it before you, if you ask me.
So
what's your list?
My 5.
Mm-hmm.
Rondo Barber.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Baselli.
Okay.
Torrey Holt. DeMarcus Ware. And Patrick Willis.
Okay. We almost completely different.
I know. The thing is, I think with the exception of Rondo Barber, we are like completely
different. Yeah.
I feel like Torrey Holt.
Now he the one I was
has
like
not been getting the respect that he deserves. I don't know if everyone remembers the Greatest Show on Turf.
Oh yeah.
But he was the leader of that. And they, for that 3 or 4 year stretch,
St. Louis, when they were the Rams, yeah.
His numbers were they were like video game numbers. Like Madden on rookie numbers. And so, like, I understand that there are a lot of arguments between the whole, you shouldn't get the receivers because of some receivers who didn't get in on their first ballot and stuff like that. And so, Torrey Holt has been passed over for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, like, all right, this is long enough for Torrey Holt.
Mm-hmm.
This is long enough for him. You can't say to him he hasn't won a Super Bowl because he won a Super Bowl with the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he has to go.
Okay.
And I think Patrick Willis, just based off of the fact that he and Chris Borland, if that's his name, I think that's his name, were the first 2, I think, players who heard about the CTE thing and was like, listen, they played at a high level, but I'm not destroying the rest of my life.
That's right, I'm dipping.
For this.
That's right.
Huh?
That I'm dipping.
Yeah.
I'm dipping. Mm-hmm.
And so I think I picked Patrick Willis based off of the fact that
Got it.
I still feel like he should be rewarded for the way that he played. Yeah. But I know that he probably won't because of the stance that he's taking.
Yeah.
He only played 7-8 years.
Yeah.
He was all pro, almost all of them.
Yeah. He's a beast now. That's not the problem. Yeah. And I know, I'll just say this, we know Zach would get in before he will.
Oh yeah, Zach Thomas definitely, yeah.
He'll get in.
He would have been I think I may have mentioned this to you a long time ago, Step, but I used to be a Dolphins fan. I had a brief moment in there where I was a Dolphins fan.
Okay.
And I think it was less of that I was actually a Dolphins fan and more just I was a fan of certain players for the Dolphins.
Okay.
And so I would root for those players, which in turn would have me root for the Dolphins. So like Ricky Williams, Zach Thomas, and Taylor.
Jason Taylor.
Jason Taylor. I was about to say his sister's on Fox Sports.
Jason Taylor.
Right now. But Jason Taylor. I was big fans of those players. And so I would root for them when they would play. Yeah.
They were the truth. I love some Jason Taylor now. That's why I know the name when you said
Taylor. Oh, Jason?
Jason Taylor. Love some Jason Taylor. So yeah. No, that's good. Okay, yeah, this is a tough one. Again, I'm not knocking the three rookie like 3 first-time ballots.
First-timers, yeah.
But I feel like these other guys, any one of these that you picked, I'm okay with, honestly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
And I think the one who I would have substituted for me putting Patrick Willis there for my feelings is Sam Mills. Because for him to receive this posthumously, he was a monster.
Yes, he was.
And so for him to receive it posthumously would mean so much.
It would, absolutely.
And that's who I would, kind of tweak. So we would have 2 together in common.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. So this was hilarious to me.
Oh man.
Oh God, this was so funny. So recently, Iman Shumpert, and forgive me because I do not have the name of his podcast in front of me.
The Bootleg Kev podcast.
Okay, there you go. That right there. He talked about LeBron.
Yes.
And so tell us the story, because LeBron is your dude. So I'm going to let you handle this, okay?
Well, and I love, one, he was high out of his mind during this conversation.
That's in general where he stays now, because he's not playing anymore. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but what I appreciated about the conversation is that like he didn't hold anything back.
No, he a real one, as they say about him. And anybody who talks about Iman Shumpert will say
they'll say that.
Same thing. He is a real one. He don't care. He don't say what he feel, and that's it. So yeah.
And even he knew that like even his comments could like cause him, some opportunity and stuff like that. But he was like, yo, I gotta give it to you guys real. And so he basically said that LeBron making the decision because of how big he is, because of the amount of influence that LeBron has, him making the decision to go to Miami is what spawned Kevin Durant making the decision to go to the Warriors. Even though he doesn't see them as being similar or the same, he said that set the precedence.
Yeah.
And so now players like James Harden jump into the Nets, even though that was a trade.
Right. They wanted him out.
But he forced his way there. He said that he wouldn't report anywhere else. That's where he wanted to go. And so he feels like LeBron kind of started that trend, and he ruined basketball because of
I was waiting on you to say it. That's what he said. LeBron ruined basketball. That's what he said. Yes. Yeah. I thought it was hilarious. And I will say this, we know Iman played with LeBron, so there's no hard feelings. This wasn't this wasn't malicious. It wasn't anything that was meant to harm. He was just speaking his truth and how he saw in context what happened and the firestorm that it started essentially across the NBA. And so I just thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I love Iman Shumpert and his wife. And so I just thought it was funny. I thought that his take on it was interesting. I don't know that anybody else, and it's because when you just said it, it did bring it to me like, but it was so similar. Like why Kevin Durant went to the Warriors is the reason LeBron went to the Heat. It's the same thing. They wanted to give themselves a better shot
A
at
better
winning the
opportunity.
championship. That's it. Like, it was nothing more. What I'm trying to be, none of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the circumstances are certainly different, but
Yeah.
the rationale behind wanting to leave and is at the end of the day taking your destiny into your own hands and not allowing the GMs to make the decision. Because to me, the Heatles was really no different than Danny Ainge pulling together Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and Kevin Garnett. Like, that really wasn't different. It's just that he's a savvy GM, and now the players were forced to play GMs, because we talk about LeBron and him going to the finals against the San Antonio Spurs that year, and how he had the mop bucket and the broom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I don't think that they were willing to put him in the owner, to me, was just comfortable selling out arenas.
That's all they care about.
Right. Boosting
I said that. I didn't mean to say that. That is a great deal of what they it's business.
Yeah.
So for them, the bottom line is about the money.
Yeah.
So yeah. But no, that's, yeah. I think I can't even remember what I was watching, and their take on, it was so funny. The guy, I can't remember which show I was watching, that talked about this, and he said, why is it that we keep trying to make everything about LeBron when it comes to basketball, and just like, let that man just make decisions for what's best for him and his family. That's what he did. He just simply made a decision that was best for him and his family. And I don't think Iman was trying to say it was wrong or bad. It was just, he saw what happened after that and how it's affected basketball since then.
I'm going to give you a great parallel. A few months ago, people got on, what is his name? The former coach of the Golden State Warriors. Mark Jackson. Folks got on Mark Jackson for saying that Steph Curry ruined basketball. And so I can understand it, like hearing that and that being a headline, you're like, wait,
what?
Steph is one of the greatest. Steph is the greatest shooter of all time, one of the greatest players in basketball history. What do you mean he ruined basketball?
Right.
But if you don't dig in the context of, like, I mean this because these are the resulting actions of his greatness, then you won't understand the reason why he said that. You know,
right?
And so his influence, much like LeBron's influence, changed the way that people do business.
It's okay. The world revolves and it moves and changes.
Yeah,
ebb and flow. So it's okay. Like, you know how I feel about LeBron as a person anyway. So yeah. Like, do you, boo? Do you, boo? Don't worry about this.
Right.
Like, for real. So I love it. But I just thought it was funny. Iman Shumpert is hilarious. So that was funny. All right.
Now put the cameras on me, 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 put the cameras on me.